Following the 26/11 type attacks at several targets in Paris, which left at least 129 dead and 352 injured, the Islamic State, earlier known as ISIS and now known as Daesh, staged its coming out event on Western soil, and dramatically so. Unlike the terrorist attack in Mumbai, the French intelligence agencies were expecting a big terror strike and had prepared extensively to prevent one, more so as Paris had already witnessed the Charlie Hebdo attacks. The question that therefore emerges is, how much more does one need to prepare and fortify a city to prevent such attacks, and who could be the next targets for ISIS?
The ISIS, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, has become extremely popular with wide range of social media users. And this is because the ISIS has begun to market itself very effectively on the largest platform available in the world across a whole range of social media initiatives, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, and whatever else. They tend to attract a large number of people with very well-placed marketing adverts of what they are doing, which is really quite horrifying, but it seems to attract people.
ISIS has made it known through its numerous social media outlets that Washington and other European cities could be its next targets, and possibly even India. ISIS has many sympathizers in Western and Central Asian countries. Allegedly, France had at least 571 nationals who'd returned after having joined ISIS. And over 250 Maldivian citizens had reportedly joined ISIS. But there are only 4 confirmed Indian recruits and 20 borderline cases of Indian origin reported.
Fortunately, I can say that in the beginning itself, they haven't had many takers in India, which is a country with a very large Muslim population. But barring aside a handful of people here and there, they haven't been able to pick up the kind of numbers that they would probably be able to target in a large society like ours.
As of now, ISIS enjoys several advantages over Al-Qaeda. While the Al-Qaeda leadership is located in remote, inaccessible areas of Afghanistan, ISIS has placed itself at the heart of the Arab world and has a very effective social media outreach.
Arab world which could lead to conflicts and more conflicts, and therefore indirectly impinge on what we regard as a very important factor, which is our energy security. So the ISIS is wanting to propagate a caliphate. I'll come to the energy security a bit later. The ISIS is wanting to propagate a caliphate. What is the caliphate? The caliphate was, as some of you would know, essentially philosophically ran from Spain to what they now see as Khorasan, which is parts of Western India, Pakistan, China, etc. In the maps they have floated, they see India as a possible country that they could take over also by initiating all sorts of conflicts. They are in conflict already with elements that used to operate from Pakistan, the Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and various other groups who are proxies that operate from Pakistan with or without the support of the state of Pakistan. Forgive me, Pakistani guests, if this offends you, but that's the reality. The second point is that the ISIS is keen to usher in an era which takes Middle East back in time several centuries.
Maruf Raza, the author of Confronting Terrorism, states that in India we would do better to focus on how to prevent another Paris-like attack. He says the need of the hour is to build alliances within a global coalition to get better intelligence from agencies of governments willing to battle the jihadi threat. India will have to battle its demons itself, and so it must be careful not to get too involved in battling the demons created by the West or its Arab allies. At present, the ability of ISIS to effectively engage on Indian soil is doubtful, since its sympathizers in India are few and far between. What India must do is first strengthen its intelligence gathering efforts with international cooperation in the battle against terror. Next, India must increase the coordination between its intelligence and police services at home. There is a need to prepare the public for the next attack in all major cities and involve citizens in the security of our cities, like the British have done with Project Griffin in London. Most importantly, apart from a ruthless clampdown on social media activities, wherever there are signs of the ISIS virus appearing, India must quarantine those who return back from a stint with the militant group, at least till their bona fides are established. There may be cries of human rights abuses by activists, as we've seen in Jammu and Kashmir, but there should be no place for those who work against national interests. It must be noted that though India has one of the largest Muslim populations in the world, its Muslims have overwhelmingly resisted the calls of extremists. There could still be the occasional waving of the ISIS flag in the valley, but that mustn't lead to an overreaction. We need to prepare rationally for the threats of the future and not respond purely based on emotion.
The core message in this video is that most of the problems of today are rooted in the unthought through solutions of yesterday. Great leaders are the ones that can see the future implications of present actions, or can see the unintended consequences of present actions and proactively take steps to mitigate those risks. With the end of the Cold War, emerged a unipolar world. Unipolar world cried itself out saying, "This is the end of history," referring to Hegel's idea of dialectical historicism. Well, you have September 11. September 11 in a sense is saying, or fundamentalist Islam is saying, that we are a civilizational alternative to the West. And in the present years, we can experience both these polarities fighting against each other. The core message therefore remains the same, that the future implications of present actions is an important pursuit. The unintended consequences of your actions is a significant exploration. That unthought through solutions of today will result in big and difficult problems for tomorrow.